Hey everyone, welcome back. Uh, Apparently the archive, there's been an update to Bendy and the Dark Revival for the archives, like in the last game. So let's load this up. Ooh, this is cool. Let's try to do something real quick. Bendy. Bendy, the iconic uh, imp, was redesigned for Dark Revival to stand out a bit from a traditional cartoon appearance by giving him a suit of clothes. He posed some minor challenges, specifically creating a face that supported the classic bendy, eerie smile, but still managed to be heartwarming in the right conditions. He is still a fan favorite, so his design had to be just right. During production, we originally envisioned Bendy to talk with a series of cute squeaks to contrast the dark, low voice of the Ink Demon. But this turned out to be very distracting, and the idea was scrapped pretty early on. That's some insights on Bendy. Ooh, Beast Bendy and the Ink Demon. This is a good look at the Ink Demon right now. Ink Demon. As the world of Bendy Dark Revival became more complex and established, we realized the Ink Demon's design needed a complete rethink to match our new tone. Previous versions of his appearance looked absolutely silly when placed in the world alongside other characters. No amount of creepy music or on screen effects could conceal how out of place he looked. The Ink Demon needed to look different than everything else in the world, and show a natural progression of the Ink Demon's evolution as Wilson held the cycle in place. Well, they did a good job, alright. I mean, dude's got a whole chunk of his arm ripped out. Beast Bendy. Returning for the climax of Dark Revival, Beast Bendy also was revisited with the mindset of making him look more powerful and beast-like. Traditionally, in most horror games, they tend to build to a point where the main villain becomes the final form monster as the final boss. It is practically a troop, trop, whatever. Our idea: what if you got to play as that final form instead? That was a really fun part of the game. It was very unique. Ink Machine, designed by Thomas Connors, designed by Thomas Connor of Gen Corporation, stolen by Joey Drew, retrieved by Archgate, and once again reclaimed by Gent. The Ink Machine's next adventure is a mystery. Interesting. Ooh, there's Wilson. Wilson, cartoon. Wilson was a difficult character to balance. At first, the players are purposely led to believe he is a one-note character, obviously evil with an over-the-top villain personality. But as the story progresses, we see other sides of the character, and the player becomes muddled with who this man really is. In one draft, Wilson was written as a servant of Nathan Arch Jr., a separate character at the time, but the story made far more sense when the two characters became one, eliminating a lot of needless narrative complexity. Huh. Audrey, cartoon. Audrey is a kind-hearted rogue with courage, determined with some flaws and a deep, dark past. To make our story work, we needed a newcomer to the cartoon studio world, and Audrey was the perfect fresh eyes to help. The experience, the adventure, to help the experience the adventure. From day one of production, we knew that if people didn't connect with Audrey by the end of the game itself wouldn't be successful. Fortunately, she turned out to be quite memorable indeed, and stand out from other members of the cast. She definitely did. like Porter. I wish he was in the game more. Porter. As the cycle is held in place, and with the influence of the Ink Demon held at bay, the cartoon world was able to grow and advance, creating such characters as Porter, a lost one who came to claim a new identity as an explorer. Porter was written with a knowledge that Dark Revival would feature a far more serious tone than the first game of Bendy and the Ink Machine, and his light-hearted innocence would help the player feel some warmth in the inky world of sorrow. Well, he sure did have a very heart-filled presence or whatever. Heidi. Like Porter, I wish she was in the game more. She was actually a pretty cool character. Heidi. It is believed that Heidi has spent some time in the pit, a prison set up by Wilson and the Keepers. It is unclear why, but most likely she was able to access places she shouldn't have. The experience in the pit changed her, as it does many, reverting her into a childlike state, longing for happiness again. That's actually kind of sad. Ooh, Sammy Lawrence. Dude, I actually wanted him to be in the game. He wasn't in the last one much either. Samuel Lawrence, the famous music composer of the studio. Samuel Lawrence originally had a slightly larger role in the story of Dark Revival, but in a story already filled with so many characters, making them all play a meaningful part became a challenge. He was ultimately sidelined in favor of telling a more coherent storyline. Coherent storyline. Although it is interesting to note that Samuel Lawrence appears to have mastered the flow ability in Bendy and the Ink Machine long before Porter and Audrey could wield it. Oh, that would explain why when the first time we saw him, when he was like carrying that Bendy cutout, when I played through the game, that like the little crevice was like all covered in ink and he just wasn't there. That would explain why. Okay, the little music stand. Amok. Lord Amok, ruler of the sewer cult. Lord Amok illustrates how the world of the ink had continued to develop into different societies, deep within the darkest places. Though he was weak in a fight, his name will simply never die. Lord Amok. Alice Angel. I actually liked her appearance in the game. It was a lot better than her first appearance in the first game. A very unique appearance. Alice Angel. The self-appointed queen of the studio, Alice Angel is one of the most memorable faces in the Bendy world. Forever lost in a tide of insanity, she is an absolute delight to write for as a character, an angel with many layers. Time will only tell if his inky temperament will ever reappear. I think she will reappear because she did in this game. She appeared in this game, and plus she's a very popular character. Hopefully in the third game she'll be in there. King Widow. I hated this guy. This guy was freaky. King Widow. Ink widows have begun to infest where the light grows darkest. Their king, the biggest and most feared, will only emerge from his nest when its young are threatened. Ship Ahoy Dudley. The determined invention of Wilson, created to serve the dual purpose of dethroning the Ink Demon in the cartoon world, and also upstaging Joey Drew in the eyes of Wilson's father, Nathan Arch. Neither of these happened. Ship Ahoy Dudley is a mysterious sailor with his known eerie grin, similar to that of Bendy, along with his sidekick, Crackle the Crab. It is unknown just what kind of cartoon adventures they would have had together. That is actually pretty cool. That's a pretty cool character design. I'm so surprised that they got color down here. I mean, seriously, look at this. There's like paper color and black. You got red, yellow, blue, the normal colors. On here you got green and stuff. And white. Really, really cool stuff. Ooh, this guy. I didn't. I want to when I'm gonna replay the game again. But when I do, I'm gonna try and like get the secret with this dude. Ah, he's a lurker. I feel like his name is Steve. Yeah, his name is Steve. Lurker. The lurker, or Steve, as he became to be known, was originally created as a brute type enemy that would free roam the way the Lost Ones do, but ultimately felt unnecessary as the random ink demon occurrences already fulfilled the role of putting in the player on edge while exploring previous traversed air locations. In the end, the lurker found a much better calling as an unlikely ally, effectively expanding him into more than just a typical enemy. Yeah, when I replay the game, I'm definitely gonna try and get this dude again. Random barrel here. Music sheets. Ooh, up here. I hated these things. These things were awful. The Keepers. Wilson's deadly guards and scientists. They aren't perfect, but the Keepers will get the job done, no matter the cost. They are responsible for presenting the Ink Demon inside a smaller form, or for pressing the Ink Demon inside a smaller form, keeping his power sealed away until Audrey came along and unknowingly changed the situation. The Keepers were visually designed to reflect the dangers and evils of the ink machine itself. Faceless beings made of gears and wires. No sense of mortality, ordered around like cattle. A creation living without purpose. That's kind of sad, but also I just hate these things, so I don't really feel too bad. That has two hands. His arm is splitting into two hands. That's horrible. The Butcher Gang. Bartley, Charlie, and Edgar, the three original members of the Butcher Gang, were formed from the Ink Demon, deconstructed by Alice Angel for body parts, and bonded together to stay alive, with sneak attacks on their prey. In Dark Revival, we meet an artificial force member of the gang, Cartley, the ghost girl. Although when you begin to examine her closely, Cartley appears to be only a shell, with perhaps someone inside. That actually is kind of scary. This is Fisher. Or Bartley. This is Charlie, or Piper. And this is Edgar, or Striker. Yeah, this is Striker. This dude was weird. Oh, that's... It seems like her eyes are falling. I might just be stupid. And this is Carly. Yeah, Carly, the ghost girl. Betty, a faithful maid among other things, To Wilson, Betty was an important character. To Wilson, Betty was an important character to the story of Dark Revival. As a failed experiment and someone relatively new to the cartoon world, she was able to give a somewhat different point of view on the state of the world. We have purposely left it unclear if Betty was in on Wilson's plot to harvest Audrey, or if she was just a bystander. Behind her mess, there are still answers to be found. She was pretty nice in the game. Joey Drew, Memory. The man, the myth, the memory. Creating this version of Joey was both an exciting and daunting process. It was unclear from the start that this Joey would be different from the one from the one from the one from the original Bendy and the Ink Machine. There we go. Game. This was a man with all the guilt from his past life, but without the experience to fully understand it. The real Joey Drew made many mistakes, but ultimately learned from them. This doesn't absolve him of his sins, but at the end of his life he was able to help correct some of them and help fight the darkness he created. I'm sad that he died. I actually really like this character. Ooh, no office space here. Oh, the books. Nathan Arch SR. Nathan Arch was everything Joey Drew wasn't. He worked hard, built up from nothing, never compromised his integrity. Joey had big dreams, but Nathan Arch accomplished his own dreams. And he and his wife Tess raised a son with as much love and care as they could, despite Nathan's career pressures. Sadly, his son did not share Nathan's natural talent for business and enterprise. Audrey, the unknowing daughter of an animation pioneer. Audrey has blocked out the memory of her past after losing her father, but this role in her life was not over. A talented animator and artist, her skills landed her a job at Archgate. Was it fate that led her to reunite with Joey Drew's machine, the machine of her birth, or was it planned? I believe it was staged. There's the cutout. Wilson, non-cartoon form. Haunted by the impossible shadow of Nathan Arch, Wilson sought to achieve something that would make his father proud. By luck, he stumbled upon the ink machine and was able to become the cartoon world's new master. Holding the cycle in place, he continued his experiments that could not fully be realized until the ink demon was purged. However, unnaturally entering to and from the ink realm has taken a toll on Wilson's physical being, slowly robbing him of his health. Yeah, I'm not sure dying and then coming back to life is, like, healthy for you. So. Yeah, it's probably not the smartest thing to have done, but, like, okay. Ooh. Henry Stein, the original Psycho Breaker. Henry Stein is the ghost of a man who lost his purpose years ago. Once filled with finding a way to escape the tortures of the ink demon and finding his way to come home to his wife, Henry is now left with the cold reality of being a recreation of the person he thought he was, saved as a special surprise for fans of the game, Bendy and the Ink Machine game. Henry was strictly omitted from all public discussion of the character during the entire production, which spanned several years, but Henry returned with a very satisfying face reveal. Yeah, he did. Allison, returning for another victory over the Ink Demon. Allison is always the voice of reason, with a beacon of hope. Allison's design was carefully upgraded from the previous Bendy and Ink Machine game to maintain her personality, but with more fidelity. The purpose of meeting Allison so early in the campaign was to introduce the player to a familiar face after the main introduction. At the start, Allison was able to serve as a motivating force for Audrey until the true plot kicked in later. Tom. I really wanted to see Tom more in the game, but I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see him more. Tom. Tom is Allison's silent protector and the only Boris clone involved in the main story. Where is Boris the Wolf? Rumor has it that during the events of the game, Boris is experiencing a dark survival story of his own. So maybe Dark Revival and Bending the Machine are linked by Boris and the Dark Survival. That's really cool. The Archives. Welcome to the Archives. Bendy and the Dark Revival is filled with numerous characters that each had a critical role to play in the progression of the game. Here, here in the Archives, you will learn a little bit more about them in an up-close and personal way. Feel free to explore. This is really cool. What the? Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for coming with me to check out the archives. I will be replaying the game again, and I'll be doing some more stuff in it. So stay tuned for that. It might not be for a little bit, but because I'm busy with a couple of projects. But I will do it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.